Howdy folks, I'm Adroit White Admiral, ardently adhering to archaic articles.
I'm Amber.
And here are more archaic articles for us to adhere to. I don't know why we're doing this. I guess we're just like cultist butterflies. But let's get started. Oh, and folks, there's a live stream coming up on Friday. For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting a Refund? From our wedding photographer. My husband and I had our wedding at the end of last month and just got our pictures this past weekend. They are terrible. For some context, I did not want a photographer because I'm an amateur myself and I have a decent camera. Our wedding photographer is a friend of my mother's and is starting up her business. She offered to do our pictures so I don't have to worry about setting up a tripod and getting someone to take a few pictures of us. We were already married back in 2024, so I wasn't too worried about getting a lot of pictures since this is just a celebration for all our family and friends. The main thing that I wanted a photo of were the big moments, the first kiss, first dance, the cake cutting, etc. And of my husband and I with our kids. I also wanted the RAW files so that I could edit them on my own, since I am very particular about what I like and this friend's editing style was not my favorite. She agreed and I thought that was that. Well, I reached out to her about 2 weeks after the wedding and asked if I can get the pictures. There was a whole big thing and she was reluctant to give me the RAW photos, and I understood, but I reminded her that when we talked she agreed to it. So she made us sign a contract stating that we couldn't post any of the photos that I edited to social media because she didn't want bad photos edited linked with her name. Fine, whatever. She gave me a thumb drive with 400 pictures on it over the weekend, and I looked them over and I was so disappointed. We received 1 picture of our first kiss that was out of focus, 5 pictures of the first dance that are blurry, 2 pictures of us with our kids, 2 pictures of my husband and I posing awkwardly, and 1 picture of us cutting the cake. The rest of the tables and some of the other miscellaneous things that had happened during the wedding. The picture of our first kiss can't be salvaged at all with editing that I'm capable of. It's far too out of focus. I reached out to the photographer and I asked if this was all the photos, and she said yes, and that she deletes wasted photos as she's shooting. I asked why there's only 1 picture of our first kiss and why it's so bad. She said that the lighting was bad at the venue and that she wasn't using her quote-unquote professional camera, and so many other excuses. I said that I did a wedding at the same venue a year prior and had no issues, and that if she wasn't comfortable using her non-professional camera, then she shouldn't have taken the job. We had paid her $1,500 for pictures of the place settings and barely anything else. I told my mom that I wanted a refund and wouldn't be using any of her pictures. We all rent another suit and get the mock wedding photos done with someone else. She said that I'm being a jerk and I should just be happy with what we got. So dear Reddit, am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. She did not adhere to what she agreed to. It sounds like, assuming OP made it very clear what type of shots she wanted, if the photographer couldn't deliver, then that's on her. And at least a partial refund should be given. It's not good business to give someone a blurry, unfocused photo of their first kiss, which is one of the main wedding photos, and to have basically lots of place settings, but not a lot of the people. Like, the people always matter more than the place settings and the decorations.
You know, I understand that this person is trying to get their business up off the ground, but if they can't be a professional, then they don't deserve the money, right? And they don't deserve a good review. And there's also a lot of here that kind of gives me some red flags. Like, the fact of the matter is that they agreed before. It sounds like a verbal agreement, which is a verbal contract, that OP would be entitled to the RAW photos, right? And then after the fact, she tries making OP sign this contract that says that she can't post any of the photos after, to social media that she edits, right? That's not what the deal was, right?
Yeah.
At least that's not the way it sounds like with OP. It sounds like they had an agreement going in there that OP was going to get the RAW files and she was going to be able to work them how she wanted to, and then got this bait and switch.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, OP paid them $1,500 for what? Them to take blurry, bad photos? No. Like, there is a standard when it comes to wedding photos, right?
Right.
You're expected to be able to do a good job. If you can't execute and do a good job, then either one, you need to give a refund because you didn't do a good enough job, or two, you need to, pull out all the stops and make sure that you get a good photo, right?
Right. And again, like if you're not experienced enough to charge like professional prices, then maybe don't charge professional prices because $1,500 is a lot of money to drop for blurry photos.
Yeah.
Like if OP had paid like $100 for this, I would be like, well, yeah, she didn't uphold the bargain, but
Yeah.
also kind of you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But it mentioned in the comments that usually she charges $3,000, but OP get like a 50% discount, and like $3,000 is more than we paid for our wedding photographer, who took amazing pictures. Like,
Yeah.
well worth the cost.
So I just think that OP isn't in the wrong at all for wanting a refund here. I think that this was unacceptable, and I think if OP were to take this person to small claims court, that the judge would have no problem awarding them the $1,500 because, if you can't pull out, if you can pull out 14 good photos out of, 400, that's unacceptable. Plain and simple, unacceptable. That's not professional. That's amateur at best. That's a practice run that you were just trying for a friend who, paid you nothing, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And regular forensics medic says, not the jerk, review her everywhere and include her pro work. I'm a photographer and a videographer, and I would never send someone substandard products. The fact that she was standing there at your event deleting photos says a lot. And OP replies, I didn't include it because it didn't seem necessary, but she spent most of the day sitting at her table talking to anyone who would listen. I should have went with my gut and brought my own camera.
Yeah, that's highly unprofessional behavior. Like, yeah, your wedding photographer may need to step aside to eat. Like, you do give them like breaks and stuff, but they shouldn't be spending all the time sitting around at a table gabbing with people.
Well, also, like, deleting photos while you're at the
Well,
event.
that too. Like, a lot of times you won't know until you get home. Like, because looking at the tiny little window.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
not-
you can't always tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems very unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're that worried, bring a second memory card.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bring a second memory card, know how to use your camera, and, go from there. And Regular Forces Medic says, her table? What in the world is that? Photographers don't sit with guests and chat. You should have told her to go and do her job. And OP replies, I honestly didn't notice until my husband said something. I was just enjoying my day with my family and friends. And Yellow Breakfast says, did you see her portfolio? You have these high standards and expectations and left this to an inexperienced photographer? And OP replies, she said that she was very experienced and I trusted her. The photos on her business page were of her daughter's wedding, which were taken by a different photographer. I didn't know this at the time. Those photos were clear, just edited darker than what I would prefer. I only wanted a few clear pictures of big moments. Luckily, some guests got decent pictures on their phones. I think that this is completely unacceptable. If she has another photographer's work on basically being portrayed as their own.
Yeah, you should not be passing off someone else's work on your business page.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. I think like that would even be more evidence that this is a bait and switch at that point in time, right?
Well, and like if she has so much experience, she should have plenty of her own photos. Where are these?
Yeah. And Hopeful Plane 7820 says, you got 11 photos of the entire wedding if everything else is just random nonsense, which is what it sounds like, at the price of $1,500. That's enough for a small claims court case. However, this hinges on the contract that you signed with her. If she says that she only guarantees so many photos, then you might be out of luck. But I would still make a Facebook stink about it. Totally unacceptable to promise you that you do have the skills and abilities when you don't, and then think that you can pocket the $1,500, not the jerk. And OP replies, her contract was 1. Retain the rights and ownership of all photographs, pre-edit and edited, taken at your wedding on 5/24/2025. You can use any raw photos for personal use only, not to be published or posted on any social media. You can post and use the pictures I edit, and I ask that you give my business name credit. This is copied from what she sent me as it was over text, and I just said that I agreed. Okay, well, I mean, I guess if that was pre-discussed about the raw photos, then that's fine, but I mean, like, still, this contract seems a little...
Oh no, later it comes up that it was not discussed before. The text came after, the contract came after the wedding had already been shot.
Oh, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, there was no contract up front, which is another thing. Like, a professional photographer will make you sign a contract. It protects both of you.
Yeah. All right, folks, then our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Leaving My Friend's Birthday Party After She Didn't Let Me in Her House? I'm a 23-year-old female, and I was invited to my friend Sarah, a 23-year-old female's birthday party. It was for a Friday at 8:30 p.m. We would start at her house to pregame, and then we would go to bars. I had to work from 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., but I really wanted to go, so I rushed home, I ate dinner, and I got ready, and I drove to her place. We were texting the whole day about the plans, and she seemed very excited for me to join her and her friends. I'm acquainted with her friends, but not besties. I arrived at her house at 8:30 on the dot, and I hung up the phone with my boyfriend, and I texted her to let her know that I was here. She said, okay. So I walked up to the door and I knocked on it. I heard music and people talking inside, so I knew where they were. And nobody answered. I noticed that she had a Ring camera, so I waved in front of it, knowing that Ring notifies people's phones. Still, nobody let me in. I knocked louder and I texted her that I was at the door, but I was neither let in nor texted back. I knocked even louder and I started shouting, hey, it's Sasha, I'm here. I finally hear footsteps coming to the front door, but instead of letting me in, I heard the deadbolt lock click, locking me out. I walked away from the door and I called my boyfriend to tell him what was going on. I told him that my feelings were hurt and that I wanted to go home. He convinced me to stay and knock again, rationalizing that it was a miscommunication. I texted her again and said, okay, I'm out front, and Sasha immediately answered, okay, sounds good. So I knocked again, and I got no answer. I heard the music get turned down and Sasha say, guys, I think she's here. So I knocked as loud as I could and I said, yes, I'm here, it's me. Footsteps came towards the door and again the deadbolt sounded and the door remained locked and the footsteps walked away. At this point, I had been knocking for about 12 minutes. I was so upset and angry that I left and texted Sasha, so I've been knocking for over 10 minutes and no one let me in, so I'm going to go home. She immediately called me, but I didn't answer because I was afraid that I would say something out of anger that I would regret. She texted me and said, looked through the peephole and did not see me. I think that it's BS because she literally had a Ring camera. I told her that my feelings were hurt and I felt unwelcome. I did not receive an answer. Am I the jerk for leaving? What could be the reason behind this? All right, folks, what could the reason be behind this?
I mean, this just feels like mean girl stuff. I don't think that you're friends. Like, no one would just leave you locked out for 10 minutes for giggles. Like,
yeah.
If they're actually a good friend. Like,
yeah.
They just sound like immature people who thought, oh, haha, how funny. Let's just leave OP locked out.
Yeah, that's the problem I have here. I don't think that OP could have done anything different in this situation. These girls just seem like they are being mean, and that's that. I don't think that Sasha is OP's friend at all. I think that she's just a mean girl. She's a bully, and she used OP as amusement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they heard her. They knew that she was coming.
Mm-hmm.
She knew that OP had texted her. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that she read the text. And they sent somebody to deadbolt the door, right? Like, you didn't even check at the peephole or anything like that, which, I mean, they didn't check the Ring camera. I don't know. Like, this, it just doesn't add up. Like, the story doesn't make sense on their end.
It doesn't, no.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And username says, so confused at the post, gender, and age with the name ex-wife still misses me. And OP replies, lol, I'm a 23-year-old female. My username is from Gravity Falls. Somebody with the username is confused about how usernames work. Like, come on, give me a break. I don't even know. This person has the epitome of irony written into their name at this point in time. And Chrissy's Nest says, but her aim is getting better. I'm probably very far away from you, but I would make a better friend than Sasha. And OP replies with some heart faces. And Growling at the World says, should have told her, too bad you didn't let me in because I had gotten you a new iPad as a gift, but you took it back to the store because of how you got ignored. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Brother-in-Law to Stop Showing Up Unannounced When My Husband Isn't Home? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I don't know if I'm just being paranoid or what, but something about my brother-in-law, we'll call him Tyler, a 32-year-old male, has been really bothering me lately. So here's what's been happening. My husband, a 30-year-old male, Chris, and I have been married for about 4 years. We live in a little quiet place in Michigan. It's nothing fancy, but it's home. Lately, though, things haven't felt so safe. Tyler, Chris's older brother, keeps showing up at our house uninvited like a lot. And not when Chris is home. Nope, it's always when he's at work or running errands or out with friends. Like last Tuesday, I was in the middle of folding laundry and the doorbell rang. I opened the door and there he was, smiling like nothing was weird. I asked, "What's up?" And he said, "Just checking something." And that's what he always says, just checking something. Checking what exactly? He never has an actual reason. He just walks around, looks at random stuff in the garage, stares at the thermostat like it's going to tell him a secret, and then sits at the kitchen table like he lives here. I started to feel super uncomfortable, so I told Chris about it. I thought that he would be weirded out too, but no, he just shrugged it off and went, maybe he needs something. You know how he is. Okay, yeah, Tyler's always been a little off, but this feels different. So I tried to set a boundary. The next time Tyler came over, this was like 3 days ago, I told him, hey, I'd really prefer if you didn't just stop by when Chris isn't home. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable. He just stared at me, like dead silent, and then he kind of smirked and said, sure, whatever you want. But in that tone, you know the one. And now I'm the bad guy. Chris is mad at me for making things awkward. His mom called me and asked why I'm being cold to Tyler. Like, I don't feel safe. I'm not trying to start drama. I'm trying to protect myself. But now it's this whole thing, and everyone thinks that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Chris won't talk to me about it anymore. He just says, Tyler's family, you're overreacting. Am I? Like, am I seriously being too sensitive here? I don't know anymore. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I just don't like how it feels when he's around. It's this creepy, quiet tension like he's watching me. So now I've basically banned my brother-in-law from my house unless Chris is home, and everyone is acting like I've committed a federal crime. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And OP, I am deeply concerned for your situation. Like, I see a couple of possibilities here. Like, one, Tyler has his own motives, and you have just seen that your husband and his mom will not believe anything you say against Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, oh, well, Tyler, that's just how Tyler is. Like, if Tyler were to hurt you, they wouldn't believe you. They would make it out to be a miscommunication, or you let him on or something like that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's really concerning to me, and why I'm wondering if this is even deeper, is like, how does he always know when OP's husband is out of the house?
That's what I want to know, right?
Like, is OP's husband communicating with him, maybe having Tyler keep tabs on OP? Does the thermostat have some kind of like hidden camera or something? Like, why is he always checking the thermostat? I'm wondering if it's not like a regular thermostat. So, like, none of these options are good, but I don't see a good option here.
Yeah, there's something that feels deeply unsettling and creepy about this whole situation. And that's a good theory about the thermostat here. Maybe there's something going on with it that OP doesn't know or understand. And the fact of the matter is that this should concern OP, because maybe it's like a whole house type of thermostat that has like the ability to connect to other things or see other things. We don't know, because some of them can be really fancy with like, displays and everything, right? So, I don't know, like, you bring up a really good point that this is happening when Chris isn't home, right? And that means that Tyler knows when Chris isn't home.
Right, so either Tyler is like watching enough that he knows his brother's schedule, or Chris is actively telling Tyler when he's not home. And neither option is good.
No, it really is not. So I think that OP, if they aren't being taken seriously by Chris, then by Chris rather, then they need to tell them that it's either Tyler or me at this point in time.
Well,
right?
yeah, I think it's probably time to leave this relationship. If Chris does not understand your concern, he's not a good partner.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the perpetually happy car get in trouble with the law?
Oh, the happy car got in trouble with the law because it was a punch buggy and it was punch drunk, and so it was drinking under the influence, and it was a terrible tragedy because they took out an entire family of fire hydrants, and it was just a brutal, horrifying scene. So they went to jail for a very long time for driving drunk. So don't drive drunk. Don't be like the punch buggy.
It went for a joyride.
It sure did. It sure did.
No, mine has nothing to do with your story. And today is the National Day of Joy.
Oh, go find yourself some joy. And if your name is Joy, congratulations. This day is all about you. And I have some Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
If you can't trust your partner, then who can you trust? Don't stay put, run.
Yeah, I mean, I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.